Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
Swipe Up, episode 229, the podcast where I share my unfiltered thoughts on the latest news and entertainment updates. I'm your host, Ray Taylor, and every Thursday I'll be bringing you a fresh perspective on a variety of topics. In this episode, the three stories I will be covering. The first story is a new setting that TikTok is releasing to limit underage users to 1 hour. The second story is about how New York City is responsible for $21.5 thousand to each protester who was quote unquote kettled by the police during the 2020 George Floyd protests. And the third story that I will be talking about is Tennessee, the first state to ban drag quote-unquote performances in public. Let's get it started, shall we? With the first story, TikTok is releasing a setting that will restrict, I should say, people who are under the age of 18 to 1 hour of use, and then to go past that, they would have to put in a code. Let me read some of this before giving my opinion. TikTok is introducing a new feature for teens, families, and the broader community. The screen time tool is being improved with more custom options, new default settings for teens, for teen accounts, and expanded family pairing with more parental controls. According to accounts belonging to users below the age of 18 years old will automatically be set to 16-minute daily screen time limits. Teen who opt out of the 60-minute default and spend more than 100 minutes on TikTok in a day will be prompted to set a daily screen time limit. Teen accounts aged 13 to 15 will be set to private by default, and direct messaging is only available to those ages 16 and older. Family pairing is being introduced with custom daily screen time limits, a screen time dashboard, and a setting to mute notifications for teens. Everyone will soon be able to set their own customized screen time limit for each day of the week and set a schedule to mute notifications. TikTok will continue to invest in improving current features and introducing new tools. Educational videos about family pairing feature creators will be available in app. TikTok hopes that these features will help families establish an ongoing dialogue about safety and well-being in the digital world. First off, on the face of it, reading the headline, this is only going to encourage underage kids to set up accounts and lying about their age. So that's one thing. But when you read all of the things that they're doing, one, I think they mean well, clearly. Giving parents more control and having kind of maybe pairing their account, seeing a dashboard, being able to mute things, making accounts private automatically, but still a way to get away from all of those things is to just lie about your age when you sign up, right? Social media requires you to validate your age in any way, and if you're under the age of 18, I don't even know how you would do that to begin with. Lord, you're gonna like scan your birth certificate or something? So just setting up a account. I mean, even if you have an account, right? You have, let's say, right, just for just shits and giggles, you're under 18, right? Say you're 17 years old, right? And you don't want your parents to know what you're using TikTok for. You don't want your parents knowing. I remember at that age, I mean, I've never been an age where I wanted my parents to know what I was doing at any given moment, whether it being online or in person, right? To have that kind of big brother type of oversight in your life. Nobody likes that, right? Nobody wants their parent tapped into every nook and cranny of your life. So first off, this has never been a thing that kids have ever been okay with, but we're living in an age where parents have that ability. They have the ability to track their kids. They have their ability to, there's apps that kids could put on their phones, the parents could put on their kids' phones to track their location, to control their phones, to contact their kids. Like, there's a lot of things that, a lot of things that if you were to do it to anybody other than your child would be considered an invasion of privacy. So it wouldn't be surprising that any kid would want to avoid that. And the easiest way to do that is to, allow you have your account, right, that your parents have control over, and then you set up a second account that is fairly effortless to do on any social media platform. And when you go sign up, you use a different date of birth. And instantly you have an account that your parents don't know you have, that is not restricted in any way. So it's like, this isn't necessarily going to protect kids in any way, but it will allow parents to really have a sense of false security in a lot of ways. I'm sure there will be kids that will be fine with their parents spying on everything, knowing every single thing they do, right? I'm sure there are kids out there that will be that, but there's going to be billions of kids, right? I don't know how many people there are. Millions of kids, thousands of kids, hundreds of kids, multiple handfuls of kids, right? Dozens upon dozens of kids that won't want to have this kind of oversight, won't want to have these restrictions in any way. And there's the easiest way to get around that. I think part of why TikTok is probably doing this, because there's a lot of conservative people, politicians that want to get rid of TikTok. There's been a lot of restrictions as far as government employees being allowed to have TikTok on their phones. There are bills trying to be passed to block or ban TikTok, which is insane. It's like they use fear that, China is stealing your information, but it's like every app on your phone is stealing your information. Why is it okay for Mark Zuckerberg to steal your information, but then like some company in China who's sending balloons over, like if they have such an amazing pipeline of information that they're getting from us, that they're also need to send some weather balloon to take pictures from the sky? I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. It's just they don't like the fact that it is not a company that they can control like they can all the other social medias in this country that, have to answer to and abide by whatever the government wants, right? I'm sure the governments have backdoors into all of these, have very unique access to all the other social media platforms like Instagram and Twitter. I'm sure Elon Musk is bending over backwards to give whatever information he wants to whoever he wants, including himself, right? I feel much more concerned about Elon Musk getting people's private information and personal information than I do China, right? I'm not overly concerned with the Chinese government when it comes to, I think the biggest threat in the country, in the United States of America, is a political party that openly refers to themselves as domestic terrorists, that are literally responsible for the majority of domestic terrorist attacks, that are responsible for making sure every man, woman, and child, whether qualified or not, is armed, right? A group of people that want to demonize marginalized group of people by fictionalizing these boogeymen things versus actually dealing with issues that are the actual threat to the lives of children, right? They're much more concerned with banning books that they feel is going to introduce a person to another way of existing in this world that is something different than being straight. They want to close themselves off in their own little white supremacist safe space and not have to be told the history of this country and the history of slavery and the history of the genocide that the founders of this country were responsible for. They don't want to know about the governments that this country, the democratically elected governments that have been overthrown by this country. Like, they don't want to know and have to deal with and reckon with the actual realities of America in any way. They want to have their own little safe space of delusional belief that TikTok is the boogeyman, that the Chinese government is the boogeyman. Meanwhile, we have just the most uneducated people being elected to Congress, and it's mind-blowing. It is mind-blowing the trajectory this country is going in. And to think that TikTok is the number one, that TikTok and drag queens are like the number one enemy of freedom and safety of this country is just absurd. So I think part of TikTok doing this is like a preemptive thing, going like, hey, look at what we're doing to give you control, or at least the illusion of control, to protect your precious children from the internet, as if TikTok is the only source of internet, the only way to look up or find out information on a thing. I think they're far more concerned with the fact that when events happen in the world, it is very easy to see those events happening first person as they're happening, as they were during 2020 George Floyd protests, where you could see what the protests were like. You can see people singing and dancing and holding their signs, and then you could see how the police came in and just brutalized people. Police come in using tools that are not allowed to be used in war against citizens of this country who are protesting police officers needlessly murdering people at a rate that is far more than one person a day. I looked it up because somebody online crying about my statement that police kill people all of the time. I looked it up, and last year, 2022, police killed over 1,000 people. So it is more than a person a day is killed by a police officer. And the majority of those are needless. There's no reason police officers should be killing people. A lot of them, unarmed people, men, women, and children die by police officers. And there's very little to no oversight, very little to no responsibility taken by police officers or their departments. So forgive me if I don't consider TikTok to be the big threat to American safety. They just don't like the fact that it is popular and it's not something that is run by somebody they control. It's amazing how this service, that you can tell when people don't use it, or you can tell how they use it when they refer to it as just kids dancing. Because if you've ever used it, unless that's content that you engage with, that's not the TikTok that I see. I see a lot of artists, a lot of musicians, a lot of people that are into technology, a lot of people who are left-leaning progressive, have ideas talking about how the situations in this country, around the world, different viewpoints from different people around the world. My TikTok is not about people dancing. I do not see children in my TikTok feed. So all of these politicians, all of these people that are saying that this app is just kids dancing, has either never used the app, or that is the content that they are focused on watching. So they are telling on themselves in many ways, if that's what they're seeing. If the content that TikTok has chosen for them, right? Some people, because of their content, realize that they have ADHD, that they may have bipolar disorder or some version of that. They may find out people are getting diagnosed by the videos that they're seeing recommended to them, because the algorithm is so good at feeding you things that you're interested in or that you relate to, that sometimes there's people who've come out as being gay, and one of the things that they were fed were other people who realized and came out as gay, and then they realized that it's like, oh, that's me. That is me. It is amazing. So if you're the type of person who's being fed children entertainment, then that is on you, because that's not what I see. I see stuff that I'm interested in, and the last thing I'm interested in is the dance trends or anything children are doing on the app. I'm seeing this is what there's this group in Canada who's building benches to put at bus stops that are in places that have no place for people to sit. They're showing how sidewalks and things don't exist, how being somebody who is in a city and walking, how dangerous it can be in their city because of the way the city has been planned. I'm seeing people who are investigating police and how they brutalize the veterans that are homeless, and how dehumanizing they are treated by police officers. I'm seeing things that I'm interested in. So anybody that says that defines TikTok as being a thing should really question. Either they don't know what they're talking about, or maybe they do. The more dangerous thing is that all of these politicians, all of these adult, grown-ass, old-ass men are only seeing children dancing on the app. Because if that's what they're seeing, then that's what they want to see. You don't get engagement on an app by serving people things that they're not into seeing, that they're not actively searching out and spending time watching. It's amazing how accurate the For You page is on TikTok, right? I'm not stumbling into Nazi TikTok. It doesn't happen. So, TikTok, interesting what they're doing. We'll see if it does anything. It's an interesting move forward. I mean, other phones, Apple has a bunch of settings that you can do. I think that's, a popular thing that a lot of apps and phones and operating systems are doing to try and find a way to still have a viable business, but also at least make it seem like you're trying to make it less addictive. I mean, they're doing, in many ways, it's like the gambling industry making anti-gambling ads for people who are addicted. It's like, how much do they want people to not be addicted to this thing that's specifically designed to be addictive? Kind of an interesting. It's all, in many ways it's like police investigating police. But, from a PR standpoint, I guess it seems good. I hope TikTok doesn't get banned, but if it does, whatever. I mean, it'll be sad. It's one less social media for me to promote this show, one less social media platform for me to promote my artwork, but it's not the only platform. So, it's how it goes. Things come and go, Twitter used to be very popular, and now it's just a flaming pile of garbage. MySpace used to be a thing at one point, and now it doesn't even exist. It's just these things come and go. So, but it's interesting to see how a certain population, a certain group of political positions to see what they demonize, because it's usually like some kind of scapegoat thing, or it's something where, they can't profit as much as they want. They're not getting the money from TikTok that they want, Anyway, TikTok, whatever, interesting. But it's like, it's an easy workaround. Based on the headline, it seemed like the only thing they were doing was any account under the age of 18 had a 1 hour block on it, which you can just enter a code and get more time. But now, after understanding the details of it, it's way more involved than that. And all of that can be bypassed with just anybody setting up a second account, right? You have your one account that you use sometimes just so your parents think you're using it or whatever, but then you have your burner account, right? Just like all of the white supremacists that have social media accounts, they all have their burner accounts, right? They all have their avatarless account that is blocked and set to private so that they can go and spout their hate speech and not have to worry about losing their job, right? They don't have to worry about quote unquote cancel culture. They don't have to worry about being held responsible for their actions. So they set up private burner accounts so that they can spread their hate speech and just spew their garbage anywhere they want and not have to worry about, somebody, hey, Chuck, I know where you work. They don't have to worry about that. Maybe because they've already lost a job, maybe they've already started complaining about cancel culture or whatever. Let's take a quick break from this episode to talk about Attention all Ray Taylor Show fans! We're excited to announce we've just released a line of exclusive merchandise featuring original artwork inspired by the show. Our high-quality shirts and biodegradable phone cases are a perfect way to show your support for the show and make a great gift for any fan. Plus, with each purchase, you'll be helping us continue to bring you great content. So don't wait. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com now and check out the full collection. Thanks for listening, and we hope you'll show your support by grabbing some Ray Taylor Show merchandise today. And now, let's get back to the show. Anyway, let's move on. Story number 2, New York City agrees to pay $21.5 thousand each to protesters who are quote unquote kettled by police during the 2020 George Floyd demonstrations. New York City has agreed on a settlement for a class action lawsuit brought up by protesters mistreated by the NYPD. Not surprising. Ooh, and one of the most corrupt police departments is abusing people's civil rights. The incident in question occurred during the June 2020 demonstration in the Bronx following the murder of George Floyd. The settlement will provide each protester who has not already settled with the city to pay out of at least $21,500. The approach used by the NYPD was called kettling, which involves violently containing protesters. I mean, definitely saw a lot of that. Oh, you can't get anywhere. Hey, here's some smoke bombs. Hey, here's some rubber bullets shot at your face. Here's some concussions, right? Oh, here's some nightsticks to all of the different parts of your body. Pepper spray was indiscriminately unleashed on protesters, and they were violently detained. The settlement will resolve the claims of hundreds of protesters who were mistreated during the demonstration. The settlement, this is like almost 3 years later. The settlement is still subject to court approval, so who knows if it gets past the incident, but they're just trying to, the police budgets are ridiculous. The NYPD's budget, fiscal year of 2022, right? Guess how much in the year 2022, guess how much the budget was for the NYPD? $10.9 billion for 1 year of New York Police Department. Nobody was defunded. Look, so much money is wasted on these organizations that do very little actual protect and serve, and mostly serve to terrorize, beat, murder, maim innocent, unarmed citizens left and right? And then when some of them are able to form a class action lawsuit or file charges and win some civil victory against these police departments, the tax money that is poured into these budgets for the police departments are used. So it's not like the police officers or the police department is punished in any way. It's just that's part of their budget, is how much money they pay in settlements for violating human rights. It's insane. It's insane. The settlement represents an acknowledgement, at least, of the mistreatment suffered by the protesters at the hands of the NYPD. $10.9 billion. It's insane. And they're horrible at doing their jobs. They don't stop crime. They're horrible at solving crimes, right? A lot of the police kind of programs they have, especially like youth programs, end up only used to be abusing children. They protect each other. Anytime there's a quote-unquote good apple or a good police officer, they end up getting chewed up and spit out by the department, in some cases murdered by the department. You know? It's disgusting. Police are terrorists. They're domestic terrorists. They are a massive waste of taxpayer money. That money, if it was used for like actual supportive measures for the community, would help people so they wouldn't have to turn to crime, would help people if they have addiction problems, would help people if they have mental health problems. But instead, we want to treat everybody who's having a rough go of it in this disgusting capitalist garbage heap of America, that you want to turn them into criminals and then let police officers treat them however they want and defend it. So many people defending police officers. So many people defending cops for executing people because they resisted arrest, as if resisting arrest is the most like disgusting human activity known to man and deserves the highest form of punishment in immediate execution, right? Nobody is afforded their time in court. No judge, jury. It's just straight to the executioner for resisting arrest, right? I'd love to see all of the back the blue people that say, oh, they shouldn't have resisted arrest. I would love to see how they allow a police officer to just kneel on their neck as they just black out and die in order to not resist being treated like that, right? Just resist being treated like a worthless piece of shit by a cop. Just just allow them to treat you, your body, your person as garbage. And if you do and a lot of the times they're not resisting. It's just something a cop says because they know it can be used as evidence. Oh, I said it. I said they're armed. Drop the weapon. Oh, stop resisting. Boom, boom, boom. Shoot them. You heard me. They were trying to resist. Do I have proof? I mean, no, but there's people that heard me say it. And I'm a cop. Look, I got the badge and stuff, and I've got a big union behind me. Look at our budgets. Don't worry about it. Let's take it to court. You know, it won't come out of my paycheck. I don't care. I'm going to go home at the end of the night, right? I'm going to get my bodies, right? I'm going to kill my people so I can go home. This is my war. I'm winning this war. It's garbage. It's garbage. It's just people, zero value of human life. It's disgusting. Let's move on to our last story. Story 3. Which is just a gross trend that's happening in this country where, you know, let's label a marginalized group as an enemy. Let's have zero proof of this at all. But we'll leverage the fear of children being the victims, despite there's no proof of this, but we'll leverage everybody's fear and desire to protect children as a way to label this marginalized group, this specific group of people, as evil in some way, right? And we'll pass laws because we pretend we're not big government, but we have no problem with the government overreach when it comes to a group that's not our group, right? We're perfectly fine with every other religious pursuit being labeled as some kind of victim as a terrorist, but not the Christians, even though the majority of domestic terrorists are, you know, Christian nationalists and white supremacists, right? Let's take a quick break from this episode because I want to promote. Are you looking for a way to take your love of The Ray Taylor Show to the next level? Look no further than Inspired Disorder Plus. As a member, you'll get access to a whole host of amazing perks, including the full week of shows, ad-free in both audio and video versions, a live painting archive, early access to the many faces, members-only discounts and deals, a podcast back catalog with over 600 episodes. But that's not all. As a member, you'll get access to my personal blog as well as my creative writing. You'll also get the chance to ask me anything you want. With all of these benefits and more, Inspired Disorder Plus is a must-have for any fan of The Ray Taylor Show. So don't wait. Go sign up now. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus and start enjoying all of the amazing perks of the membership. And now, let's get back to the show. So in Tennessee, story 3, Tennessee is the first state to ban drag performances in public. Tennessee has become the first state in the U.S. to ban drag performances, which the term drag performances is vague on purpose, just as the laws that are banning books in Florida are all vague. They're vague for a very specific reason, because they want to outlaw a way of being, right? And if they can somehow label whatever you're doing as a drag performance, then your freedom of speech, your freedom of existing is illegal, right? With Governor Bill Lee signing HB 9 into law on March 2nd, the law bans, quote, male or female impersonators who provide entertainment that appeals to a prurient interest. I don't know what that means. From performance in public spaces or in front of minors, right? So, or in front of minors. So minors don't have to be there. It's just if anybody is wearing clothes that aren't specific to your gender, you could be charged with a crime. If you are out in a store, if you're a woman out in a store and you're wearing cargo shorts and a wife beater, then if they don't like you, they can charge you with being a drag performer. You are out in public wearing clothes that are not specific to your gender. Therefore, you are a threat to our society, and you should be charged with the crime. It is insane. The ban will go into effect April 1st. Hilarious, April Fool's Day. A few months ahead of the Pride festivities. Obviously, 100% done on purpose. They want any kind of lifestyle that is not the straight, white, puritanical way of living. They want that to be as illegal as possible, and they're doing it in every sneaky little vague way. And all of their little sheep are like, oh, they're protecting kids, right? Meanwhile, the number one death, the thing responsible for killing kids, the number one thing responsible for killing kids, guns. Don't want to do anything with that. Not a single kid, in my estimation, has ever died from watching or seeing or viewing somebody wearing the clothes of the other gender in front of them. It's not a lethal activity to witness, but somehow kids are not prepared and able to see something of that nature. It's just these, like, there's enough nuance in the people that at least agree with the general reality that we're living in to have to somehow argue with the people that are living in this completely detached and delusional reality is just so mind-numbingly worthless. It's like the most worthless use of anybody's time to say that, like, their viewpoint needs to be debated or acknowledged as if it's at all and in any way viable is just absolutely ridiculous. The American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, has noted that the ban violates First Amendment protections, obviously, and has promised to change it in the court. I mean, that's the First Amendment. They only care about if it's their First Amendment rights that are being infringed, and they only think, like, they think getting banned on a social media app is a violation of their First Amendment, which isn't. They don't understand that it's protection of the government. And this is where the government is saying, oh, you don't have the right to express yourself in any way that is different than the gender normative, puritanical way of existing. Governor Lee also signed SB 1 into law, which restricts access to gender-affirming care for transgender youth. Tennessee is the 8th state in the U.S. to ban such care. The ban on gender-affirming care will also go into effect on July 1st of this year. And those already receiving medical care, such as puberty blockers and hormone replacement therapy, will lose this care after March 31st. The ACLU and Lambda Legal have promised legal action against Tennessee, which, great, but how long is that going to take, right? It's like stuff that happens in courts. Like the previous story, the George Floyd protests were in 2020, and 3 years later, if it even goes through, New York City might be held responsible and have to give people money. But it's ridiculous. So they plan to legal action against Tennessee in the healthcare ban, citing injunctions by federal court on similar restrictions in Alabama and Arkansas. The ACLU has expressed concern that the government officials could easily abuse the drag ban law to censor people based on their own subjective viewpoints. Duh. That's why it's vague. It's done on purpose, done by design. They want to maximize the amount that they can restrict any kind of existence outside of what they deem to be the acceptable existence in this lifetime. And it's absolutely disgusting. And everybody that thinks that they're protecting children need to take their head out of their ass, okay? Because they don't have any proof. All they're doing is regurgitating the things that their politicians and their propaganda networks say. There is zero proof. If you want to look and find proof of the things that are actually harming the life of children, there is just like plethora of proof, studies of like dead bodies. There's like bodies of dead children because guns, the Second Amendment, the delusional way the Second Amendment is protected in this country. Meanwhile, everything else is like up for grabs, is absolutely insane. It is insane. All right, let's do some shout-outs and get out of here. Shout out to IGN.com. Shout out to Now This News. Shout out to BuzzFeed News. Most importantly, shout out to you. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Swipe Up. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts and insights on the latest news and entertainment updates. Don't forget to join the conversation by leaving a comment and a rating on your favorite podcast platform or over on YouTube if you're watching this and, you know, this part doesn't show. Oh, yeah, I guess it does. No, it doesn't. It doesn't show up. It only shows up on the main episode. But this is also the episode that gets a lot like this one. This is the one that finds all of the hateful white supremacist conservatives on Facebook and YouTube. And it's just they engage. They engage. And I thank them for making my content more popular and should warn them that they're only signaling to the algorithms that they want to see more content like mine when they watch and engage with my content. So they are digging their own grave. They are the creator of their own online hell. And they're all of their hate that they spew, I don't see. And they can just go back to their clan meeting and cry about it to their grandmaster or whoever it is. But anyway, I'll see you next Thursday for more unfiltered opinions and fresh perspectives. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.